Good evening, everyone. The time is 5:28, and we are on the air.
Mayor, I got one small additional change right here. We're striking this annual right here, so it doesn't seem like it's 450 year one, and if that's not spent, we put another 450,000. Well, because I'm doing it before the meeting, it'll be a part of the amendment, just as an amendment.
Okay.
I do. The Alderman sponsoring it.
Okay.
The change I'm making called breaking annual. I talked with Sean about it too. That's so if it's not 800,000 a year one, and then we put an additional 800,000 a year two. So it's kind of. They should have another change. We're moving annual from the language, so it doesn't seem like but that'd be ours. Let's do that.
I know it's loud in here, but it's 5:30. Are you ready? Okay. The chair will call the July 1st, 2025 meeting of the City Council to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Clerk Redpath, can you please call the roll?
Yes, ma'am. Alderman Cox.
Here.
Alderman Gregory.
Here.
Alderman Williams.
Here.
Alderman Rockford.
Here.
Alderwoman Purchase.
Here.
Alderwoman Nitriano.
Here.
Alderman Carlson.
Here.
Alderwoman Conley.
Present.
Alderman Donlin.
Here.
Alderman Hanauer.
Here.
Mayor Busher.
Present.
Mayor, you have a quorum.
Thank you, Clerk. The civility pledge. In the interest of civility, I pledge to promote civility by listening, being respectful of others, acknowledging that we are all striving to support and improve our community, and understanding that we each may have different ideas for achieving that objective. Today, we do have a proclamation to give, so I'm going to go to the podium and ask that my coaches that are present and players from the Sacred Heart Griffin 2025 Class 2A State Baseball Championship team come up. Evening. Start back here. Thank you. How are you? I'm going to just let you hold these. All right. Today, the City of Springfield takes great pride in recognizing the outstanding accomplishments of its student athletes and athletic programs, and the Sacred Heart Griffin varsity baseball team has brought great honor and pride to our community by capturing the 2025 Illinois High School Association IHSA Class 2A State Baseball Championship. I'm going to stop and give you a round of applause for that. Whereas this momentous achievement is the result of the relentless pursuit of excellence by an exceptional group of young athletes. When I say your name, if you happen to be here, just raise your hand if you don't mind so the crowd knows you're here. Ty Springer, Tommy Lauterbach, Carson Butler, Will Pennell, Will Cody, Seth Monk, Aiden Vanover, Drew Ward, Bradley Mazur, Austin Rudder, Rowan Mazur, Andy Antonacci, Ethan Kaur, Dylan Clow, Mike Gresh, Andrew Hoffner, Chase Beckham, and Graham Trello. And whereas the team's success was guided by the outstanding leadership of varsity head coach Nick Namovich, good job, Coach, and supported by the invaluable efforts of assistant coaches Kevin Zanger, I know you're here, Adam Springer, Connor Etheridge, Boyd Butler, Josh Lemasters, and Nick Nell. And whereas the coaching staff played a crucial role in guiding and developing these young athletes, supporting a spirit of teamwork, discipline, and excellence throughout the season. And whereas this outstanding group of athletes showcased skill, teamwork, and perseverance, demonstrating the highest ideals of sportsmanship and dedication. Whereas these players demonstrated remarkable teamwork and perseverance, they are representing their school and the city of Springfield with much honor and distinction. Therefore, I, Mayor Misty Busher, along with the City Council present here with you this evening, do hereby proclaim that July 1st, 2025 shall be Sacred Heart Griffin Varsity Baseball Day in the city of Springfield. So congratulations to you. Before I give the coach his proclamation, I'm going to let him come up and say a few words if he'd like. You didn't know that one.
So I didn't know I was going to speak, so I have very few things to say. I would thank you, the City Council, for having us here, obviously. I'd love to thank our administration. They've been wonderful in the entire process of everything that we do at school. So thank you very much for having us here tonight. We certainly appreciate it. I know the kids were kids worked very hard to do what we did, and we're grateful. So thank you very much.
And are any parents here that want to take photos before the team leaves? But you can come take, yeah, absolutely, absolutely, yes.
Great sight.
Very good, thank you.
Thank you.
Good job, guys.
Congratulations, you guys. Good job.
Congratulations. Congratulations.
I didn't hear you.
The chair will entertain a motion to dispense with the reading of the minutes of the June 3rd, 2025 regular city council meeting and approve the minutes.
So moved, Mayor. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? One moment, sorry. Hey, Joanna, can you come see this for a second? I can't see if anyone signed up to. Thank you, ma'am. And it looks like Alderman Donlin signed.
It's a
no?
test.
Oh, okay. My computer wasn't up and running, so thank you. Good? Okay. So seeing none, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The chair will entertain a motion to incorporate the pre-council first reading of ordinances into the record of this council meeting.
So moved, Mayor.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion on that item? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The next item on the agenda is the consent agenda. The chair will entertain a motion to incorporate the pre-council reading of the consent agenda into the record of this council meeting.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The chair will now entertain a motion to place the consent agenda on final passage.
So moved, Mayor. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, the voting will now be open. All those in favor of the motion, please vote yes. All those opposed, please vote no. That test really got you messed up.
I don't know.
And the motion passes with 10 voting yes, none voting no. Agenda item 2025-247 remains tabled or in committee. Everybody okay on that one? I don't see any discussion for that. Okay. The next item on the agenda is 2025-264, an ordinance establishing the SHA Madison Park Tax Increment Financing TIF Neighborhood Improvement Grant Program. The chair will entertain a motion to place agenda item 2025-264 on final passage.
Second.
I move to, if I may, introduce.
Yeah, we had a motion and a second, so go ahead, Alderman.
Yes, Mayor, I move to introduce the amendment. Is it a number on this one, Mr. Murdock? Amendment number 1.
Okay. So we have a motion and a second for the ordinance itself. Now we have a motion to adopt amendment number 1. We have a second. Any discussion from the council members on the amendment? Seeing none, then we'll take a voice vote for the amendment itself. Oh, Alderman Carlson, my apologies. I didn't think you, Alderwoman Purchase.
Not on the amendment, not on the amendment. Just
Okay,
on the-
you're good?
yeah.
Okay. So we'll just take a voice vote on the amendment itself. All those in favor of the amendment, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. The ayes have it. So now we will place agenda item number 2025-264 on amended as a final passage. We had a first and a second. Any discussion on that? Alderman Carlson.
Yeah, and I've got a few questions and concerns, and I do want to thank Alderman Gregory. For our talk yesterday, we had to air a few things out, and we had a good discussion about a whole host of things. And some of these questions, you answered yesterday. I just had a few concerns. I mean, so the one big, just the overall arching is, what are we trying to fix that's broke? That's what I'm still struggling with.
Sure.
Go ahead, John.
For this particular program, what we are trying to fix that I wouldn't say necessarily is broke, but we can improve and remove this final barrier. Years ago, we removed the 50-50 match down to 10% and 25%. Well, we've run into some instances where somebody may have missed the 10%, by thousands, a few $1,000s on the income side of it. Excuse me, this is on the Madison Park place. So, and just to give greater access to it, on the payment directly to the vendors, rather than put out $5,000 or $9,000 for a roof themselves, which is very, very hard to do and slows down and actually can stop the process, by us having the ability to pay those contractors directly, it can speed up the process and, get things done more quickly.
Because as you know, hey, I'm all for this TIF, and I want the TIF to stay healthy. I've got a track record of that as a Capital Township. Part of it is I'd like to see, a little more skin in the game, because eventually, property taxes are going to have to be paid. Sure. And I hope they would know that that's eventually going to happen at an increased value and, more increment. Mm-hmm. That's the whole thing. Part of it is we've got a few more years left of this. To me, we're sort of changing some rules within that first 21-year period of the TIF. Mm-hmm. There's always a number of things other issues where we move the goalposts. And in my mind, as I relate to you, it seems like, maybe this would be, at the end of the life cycle before we move on and obviously extend it. That way we have, you know, the Springfield Economic and Commission sort of the experts that look over this, to look back and just see, hey, was the TIF working properly, which I think it is. And I just don't know if we need to necessarily interfere with it, because ultimately, and I'll finish up, I mean, without any skin in the game, I mean, are we tying up too much money for some future project or development on the east side that, you know, maybe we don't know about? Maybe the same kind of Growth Alliance is working on something, or, you know, the Black Chamber of Commerce or something, where we would need some more of those TIF funds. That's my only concern.
Sure. And if I may, Mayor?
Yep, Alderman Gregory, sure, go ahead.
This particular TIF, you know, it expires in 2030. So in TIF life, we're about at the end of it to have some other discussions. But even with bigger projects, or even with things that we will have to do more, there's still more in that TIF. If we was to stretch out that TIF, that would add another $4 million or so in future increment. As well as, well, for this one goes to 2034. So, you know, same thing. It's sort of at that end of that life for us to inject it. Originally, you know, TIFs don't require any match at all when they come from the state. In this particular program, it's not all of our TIF by far in either one of those. And this particular program more matches what the intent was for this particular program in these particular areas that qualify for it. So I respect the skin in the game. So bigger projects and things like that, somebody bringing a $2 or $3 million project, there's different rules for.
Because then we'll be right back, and maybe, as we know, we need to borrow from another TIF, which we had before. So anyway, thank you, Mayor.
Well, they both touchy, so we could always talk about that.
Thank you, Alderman Gregory.
Alderman Gregory, you also signed up to speak.
No, I was only to respond. I'm sorry.
You okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Alderwoman Conley.
Yeah, thank you. Again, Alderman Gregory, I really appreciate you bringing this forward. The minor changes are just, those were clarifying. I just want to point out, and I do hope that from Office of Planning and Economic Development and our inspectors are working together to really help promote this.
Absolutely.
Especially for the homeowner portion, and get that word out, because like you say, I mean, you've got so many, you know, housing issues and violations in your ward. For those homeowner occupied houses, I'd like to see not just information on the violation, and this is how you can fix it.
Right.
Because that's going to start stabilizing neighborhoods, and that's going to build those neighborhoods up, and I think it's really critically important. So just for Public Works in the room and Planning and Economic Development, and I know that this is something that has been going on, but I just want to make sure that once this passes, that we really get that word out so that people can start using the funds that, as you've said before, these TIFs, and I will say, Alderman Carlson, this is kind of my really big support for this, is that these TIFs have carried a balance for a while and not really been utilized as much as they could be. So I'm excited to see this being used. I think if it stabilizes the neighborhoods, it's going to make them more attractive, and it's going to draw more people in, and it's going to highlight, you know, a different part of our community that has some really bright spots in it. So just want to make sure that we all help get this word out about what these opportunities are. So thank you again for bringing this forward.
No, thank you.
Alderman Hanauer.
Thank you, Mayor. I want to make it clear, and I had a great conversation with Alderman Gregory yesterday, and I do appreciate you calling. I still have some concerns, but I think we worked out a lot of that, and I really appreciate having time to sit down or voicing my concerns, and I think that you understand them now. But we got a lot of comments about this is starting a new TIF and things like that. We're not starting a TIF. All we're doing is moving money into a specific, I guess it'd be a fund, right, that can only be used for specific purposes. And as I told Alderman, that I was concerned about locking ourselves in where we're putting money into a smaller bucket, so to speak, and then toward the end of the TIF, a project, somewhat like Alderman Carlson said, a project comes along and we don't have the money, and we're not going to be able to move the funds out of those buckets because it's tied. We're tying them up, right? But had a good talk with Sean, and we you know, I told him that, you know, we can live with that. We'll just have to cross that when it happens. But we're not establishing a new TIF. And I think that the public, there's a lot of that out in the public that we were establishing new TIFs on all this, and we're not. We're just moving money around. So the other thing, last week I asked for a report about where the grants and that go, because there's been a narrative out there for quite some time that the west side gets the grants and the east side, we take money from the east side. And I don't know if you can pop that up on the screen, but I asked for it, and they were able to get it. And I appreciate the hard work, Ramona, you and your staff did. I couldn't believe how quick you got it to us, and I appreciate it. But I just want to point out that there's, of all 10 wards, there's 3 wards that get 94.6% of the money, all right? 2, 3, and 5. They get 94.6% of grants, TIFs, everything else, all right? And this is in the last 5 years, not including this year, I think. Is that right, Ramona? We've got another spreadsheet. I'm not going to get into that. Wards 2 and 3 are they get 53.88. Now, you know, if you look at this, there's some wards that get very little. I was a little shocked by what the 127.5 that came out of Ward 10. I still, for the life of me, can't figure out where that came from. But I mean, this is the numbers, and so for anyone to say that we're taking money or whatever, it's just not correct. And I'm just putting this out there so that everybody understands, you know, we can't get TIF money in certain parts of town. And I think Channel 20 tried to say that I was wanting TIF money all over. That's not what I was saying last week at all. And of course, they didn't call me to ask about it, but that's beside the point. Anyway, so I'm not going to dwell on it. The numbers are the numbers. Everybody got a copy of it, you know. And I think there's another spreadsheet that shows to date for this year, and yeah, I had a hard time reading that one, so with my eyesight. So I'm not going to even get into that right now. But the report's out there for you to look at, and I was just trying to dispel this this narrative. So thank you.
Alderman Donlin. Alderman Carlson, you're done, right? Okay. Alderman Donlin.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. And I just wanted to make ask a question for clarification. I know that this ordinance and the one subsequent that's forthcoming that deals with setting up, it's more of a refocus and a marketing effort to do what we talked about last week and on prior occasions, Alderman. And I sincerely support that. But I just want to make sure, because of the questions that I heard from some of my colleagues, that even if money is dedicated towards this effort and there's money that's not obligated, meaning whether people don't apply for it or businesses don't apply for it and it's not allocated, if a project comes along that is of relevance, meaning it's going to employ people, it's going to employ a great number of people or redevelop the area on a rapid basis, that this council has the ability to, at that point, make a decision whether they want to alter something or not. So we have some flexibility. We always have that flexibility. I hate to be so obvious in my statement here this evening, but this doesn't, I mean, sure it's a, I think it sets, if this is fortunate enough to pass this evening, it sets us down a path where we're marketing and trying to revitalize the neighborhoods from within, no question. But if something does come along, we have some flexibility if the money is unobligated, not unlike downtown. The downtown TIF, I use that one as an example because it's the oldest. It's been around since, I believe, 1981. It's actually an old state sales tax TIF that has been transformed into just a real estate tax TIF. It's so old. And, you know, projects come along. the TIF plan changes, we have that flexibility, we have that, I'll say it's, again, I said it last week, we have that, it's one of the only tools as a downstate municipality that we have for economic development. So we have some flexibility. I applaud the efforts. I think we can make things happen. 23-year life of the TIF, believe it or not, it seems like forever when you first establish the TIF, but we don't have that much time left. So I urge an aye vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman. Alderman Gregory?
Oh, I thank everyone for the questions. I thank everyone for the conversations. I thank all of my colleagues who have supported this from its conception and the talks with them. I would just say that you know, we see the graph, right? And those grants and those TIFs are designated for these areas. I dream of a time where we don't need no grants, you know, because we're, you know, poor, or living below the poverty line and all of those. I truly do envision those days, not only in my ward, but this entire, every ward that needs it. So with this, you know, this is not the be-all and end-all of what we need in our community. And even with this, there's some things we just heard Director Posey last week talk about business and that training that the administration has been working on, as well as some members in the community to really grow the business so we can meet not only the demand that we have now before we've even done this, but the demand that will come from things like this. Part of the key is you know, for my particular ward, I always try to invest in what's there and the people who want to be there. And I think that's so very important because it can be done. And this is something that we've never done before, and I think we're at a state and time in this city where we really have to do some things that we haven't done before, that we haven't thought about, to try to change this particular situation. So I appreciate the conversation. Last week, Alderman Donlin said that, so I definitely thought about that, and I appreciate the conversation because it was helpful. And you know, I don't want to do all the talking. I have colleagues that all was sponsored a part of this as well. So thank you.
Alderman Williams?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. I appreciate the chart. Thank you for creating the chart. I think it's much needed because it verifies so much about Springfield, Illinois. I think it just verifies where the needs are, 2, 3, and 5. I agree. The east side, I agree. So there's nothing wrong with you requesting, and then a chart comes and it justifies what you feel that all the money is being spent, or all the grants are being spent, or whatever, however you worded it. What you need to understand is this may happen, or this may come along. It hasn't. I got here in 2019. It hasn't. That emergency project that might need ain't happening. This little bit of stuff we're trying to do, we're trying to create and generate some energy and maybe make ourselves look better so that we attract a bigger project, or we attract developers who may say, oh, they look like they're getting it together there. Let's invest. Let's do something over here for once. So all those charts do is verify what we live and what we know. And when the state, the feds, or any entity of government, the county, use those census tracts, it's because the census tracts verifies the poverty levels. You know, and unfortunately, like I said last week, we have the rich and we have the poor. I can't be mad because certain parts of town don't need grants, or certain parts of towns makeup doesn't qualify them to do a TIF, for example. You know, there's not enough blight, or whatever you want to say the TIF rules are. All I'm doing is dealing with the reality and supporting my other aldermen who feel like we need to be doing something except the status quo, and that's what we've been doing with all our monies. And this is where we get the fights about when we're dealing with social agencies, and do something different sometime. Try something different instead of just letting the money come forward and giving it to the same players, the same agencies, and doing things the same way. We're trying things a little different to empower people to get their roof fixed. If they can't afford to come up with their match, then we're paying straight to the contractor. All we want is the roof repair, or whatever it is, whatever the project is thereafter. Once they go through the process and they get approved, we don't want that barrier to be there based on their part and money. And skin in the game is fine, but some people don't even have skin, is what I'm saying. We're just that broke. So I appreciate you guys' comments. This is the furthest we ever got along in discussing it. And I appreciate the discussion because I think it is helpful, just like I thought the chart was helpful. Thank you.
Alderwoman Notriano.
Thank you, Mayor. I appreciate the clarification that Alderman Williams and Alderman Gregory have added to the charts brought forward by Alderman Hanauer. I would also like to reiterate the money that is captured on those charts are either TIF funds, which we've collected the funds because those areas are blighted areas and need to be revitalized and we need money to reinvest, or they're entitlements from the federal government. And the only reason we have those funds are because of the condition of wards 2 and 3 and 5. So thank you, I guess I would like to say. But I just don't want anyone to be confused and think that perhaps that money could go elsewhere or we're doing something unfair. That money is going precisely where it's intended to go. So I really, and as far as skin in the game goes, these are business owners and homeowners. I don't know. That sounds like skin in the game to me. I really detest the idea that when we're trying to give funds to folks who need it to build them up, that we say things like they need skin in the game. They have lived there. They are living there. They're paying taxes to be there. Skin in the game. You got it, you know? And I think I'm going to leave it at that. I'm going to stay civil and leave it at that. Thank you so much, Mayor.
Alderwoman Purchase.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I think, too, when we talk about skin in the game, I do understand it because I live it with doing real estate and seeing people that live in my neighborhood and live over on the east side where this is the areas that need to be addressed. But I also see people who are under that poverty line or retired and don't have those funds because of the amount of money that they've received. And I thought that paying it directly to the contractor was better. So I think that's where that came in, and it was a better appetite when they go to the bank and ask for funds, but they may not qualify for it. Local banks are trying to do everything to help our constituents and help our Springfield as a whole. So they have those decisions that they can make. And when we say that the city is providing funds, that gives them more skin in the game to say, yes, we will do it because we know that reimbursement is coming back as well. So I just wanted to solidify where that came from and urge you all to support this. Thank you.
Thank you. And then a discussion from the council members. Okay, seeing none, before we take a vote, there are some citizens who signed up to speak. I know there's 2 TIF ordinances, so I'm going to allow you to come up for your 5 minutes if you so choose, so I'll be asking you if you want to come up. Please remember that it's, you have your 5 minutes and you get to speak now or at the end, whatever you prefer. So the first person who wrote down matching TIF funds or anything but the TIF ordinance would be Brianna Eilers. Ms. Eilers, do you want to speak now? Okay. The next person who signed up to speak for TIFs would be Diana Elshriff. Is Diana here?
Thank you, Director.
No, Diana. Thank you, Scott. No, Diana. The next person who signed up to speak regarding the TIF ordinances would be Salem King. Mr. King, do you want to speak now?
Hello, council members. It's been a little while. As a refresher, I am pursuing an environmental studies degree at UIS, and in fact, just last semester, I completed a preliminary study on the environmental effects of redlining right here in Springfield. And while I plan on continuing that research, even the preliminary findings have been illustrative, and I'd like to talk about them in relation to Alderman Gregory's ordinance. But first, some history. When the mortgage lending maps for Springfield were established in 1937, 41% of Springfield, nearly all of the east side, was listed as hazardous or redlined. What was the official reason that continues to influence our housing system today? To quote the detrimental influence as listed for area D7A, many colored families, and for area D8, colored people. An additional 17% of our city was marked as definitely declining or yellow-lined, thus disenfranchising the majority of our city from owning their own home. At this time, less than a century ago, many of the West Side neighborhoods, which are currently receiving oh so much private investment, didn't even exist yet. For my project, I surveyed 3 neighborhoods for data on the urban heat island effect and biodiversity. A red-line neighborhood between the old Pillsbury factory and Madison Park, the yellow-lined historic West Side neighborhoods north of Lawrence and south of North Grand, mostly in Ward 5, and a green-lined neighborhood in both Leland Grove and the southern portions of Ward 8. I also constructed a land cover map for the first couple blocks of each survey area. These GIS maps show that only around 12% of the red-lined area I surveyed had canopy cover, meaning shade, whereas for the same amount of area, the yellow-lined neighborhood had 41% and the green-lined neighborhood had 58%. Additionally, nearly a third of the red line study area was covered in unshaded pavement, but only 20% of the yellow line study area and only 18% of the green line study area. So the green lined area I mapped had nearly 5 times more shade than a similarly sized red lined area, whereas the red lined area had almost twice as much unshaded pavement. And that's not even getting to my equally demonstrative results on biodiversity because I've only got 5 minutes. While differences in pavement and shade might not seem significant, I would like to remind everyone that we were just in a week-long heat wave and summer began 11 days ago. We're just getting started with those. In fact, does anyone here know how many trees are in Madison Park? Because that was actually where I started my surveys. It's 28. I counted them less than 48 hours ago. On the same night, I took a walk through Washington Park and counted 28 trees in 45 seconds. So next time we have a heat wave, I would dare anyone on this horseshoe who plans on voting against this resolution to spend an hour at Madison Park, then an hour at Washington Park, then come back and say our city's history of racism doesn't impact people's day-to-day lives. Less shade and more pavement doesn't just mean you're hotter. It means the air around you is hotter, the animals are hotter, your gardens and your pets are hotter, cooling your home is more expensive, putting more stress on your air conditioning unit, putting even more stress on the entire power grid. The severe urban heat islands that this city is imposing upon its east side residents are making these hotter and hotter summers more difficult to manage for the same sections of our city that have been cut out from owning their own homes since 1937 for no reason but the color of their skin. The history of racism in this city is still affecting us today. It is affecting our politics. It is the reason Springfield has the widest racial income disparity in the entire nation, and right now it is magnifying the effects of heat waves for our east side. This is not a matter of political debate, it's a matter of settled fact and settled science. If we have a society where some people are largely unaffected by a crisis like a heat wave, and others are actively and intentionally subjected to a worse version of that crisis, that society is unsustainable. Now, unsustainable is a word used a lot in the environmental field. I feel like it's used a bit too much to the point where it's kind of lost its meaning. Unsustainable means cannot be sustained. It will change or it will collapse. That is what it means when something is unsustainable, and this is unsustainable. While Hanauer is correct in his assertion that public money and private money are in fact different words referring to different concepts, I believe we as a city should be much less concerned with concepts than we are with consequences. The thing that must be remembered in conversation about the East Side, whether we're discussing environmental racism, income disparities, TIF funds, or policing, is that racism is not necessarily something you are. It can be something you do. If, with no hate in your heart, you perpetuate harm against black people on lines drawn by maps that were specifically created to enforce segregation, you are perpetuating racism whether there is hate in your heart as you do it or not. Redlining is not your fault, but when someone needs help, when work needs done, whining about how someone else started it is the excuse of none but cowards and children. So pass this resolution, and when the next one comes up, pass that one too.
Thank you, sir. The next person who signed up to speak regarding TIFs would be Ken Pasha. Mr. Pasha, do you want to speak now? Okay. The next person who signed up to speak regarding TIFs would be Zachary Long. Mr. Long, do you want to speak now? Okay. The next person who signed up to speak regarding TIFs would be Zumbi Biano. Zumbi Biano here. Last call for Zumbi Biano. And that's it that referenced the TIFs that we had that signed up previously to speak. So that being said, any further discussion from the council members before we take our vote? Okay, so what you'll be voting on is the amended ordinance, the ordinance with Amendment A. All those in favor of the motion, please vote yes. All those opposed, please vote no.
Got to do something about this system, man. This is crazy.
I'm stuck too.
I'm about ready to put my finger through it. I'm a yes vote, Mayor. I'm sorry. It's
How do
not
you vote,
working.
Jeff?
It went through. But yes.
Can we get, Mayor, real quick, can we get IT to work on this week and try to do something to correct this?
Do you want to have them work with you? Okay.
Thank you.
Yep. So Alderman Hanauer, you're a yes vote, right?
I'm a yes
So the motion passes with 9 voting yes, 1 voting no. The next item on the agenda is item number 2025-265, an ordinance for the Far East Tax Increment Financing, TIF, Neighborhood Improvement Grant Program. The chair will entertain a motion to place agenda item 2025-265 on final
So moved.
passage.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Alderman Gregory, should I call on you? Do you have an amendment for this one too?
Amendment, motion to introduce amendment number 2.
Second.
Or amendment number 1, probably for this ordinance.
Number 1 again? Okay, number 1.
Wouldn't that be right? Representative
second.
Thompson?
It's amendment number 1.
Yeah, amendment number, if that's okay.
Amendment number 1, yes.
Okay, so we had a motion and a second for the ordinance. We have a motion and a second for the amendment. Thank you. Alderman Gregory was the motion. Alderman Rocker was the second. Clerk, any discussion on the amendment? We're just on the amendment. Seeing none, we'll do a voice vote. All those in favor of the amendment, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. The ayes have it. From there, we will take a vote, and the council, we've already talked to the community members that signed up to speak on TIFs. So we would take a vote for the ordinance 2025-265 as amended on final passage. Any discussion from the alders before we do that? Seeing none, the voting will now be open. All those in favor of the motion, please vote yes. All those opposed, please vote no.
Holy cow.
And the motion passes with 9 voting yes, 1 voting no. The next item on the agenda is 2025-266, a resolution to support and advance the History Across the Tracks initiative to promote cultural preservation, tourism, and economic development in East Springfield.
So moved.
The chair will entertain a motion to place agenda item 2025-266 on final passage. We have a motion and a second. I did have a conversation with Alderman Gregory earlier today. I would like to ask for a floor amendment, and I'll explain to the council if you have the ordinance, or I'm sorry, it's a resolution, my apologies. The resolution in front of you, the first item I would like to have us amend on the floor is Section 6 and Section 7, where there is a marketing plan requested from SCVB and OPED. The date in the resolution actually states February of 2026, and I did speak with the alderman and requested that we change that to November of 2025 for budgetary purposes. So moving that up so that it's more feasible to incorporate with the budget. So can I get a motion and a second for that?
So move.
Second.
All right, so we have a motion and a second to move up the dates for February of 2026. Does anyone have any questions or discussion on moving those dates on the amendment for me? Okay, seeing none. And thank you, Alderman, for supporting that change to make it easier to work with within the budget.
No, thank you for offering, I appreciate it.
Okay. And then the only other thing I would like to bring to your attention, Alderman, is on Section 5, it does state that OPED will prioritize this coordination of this effort. I just want to bring out that word prioritize and kind of bring it to your attention that sometimes things happen in our community, whether it was a derecho or there might be events that happen that they may not be able to put this as the first item. And I just want to make sure you're understanding of that.
Absolutely, totally understanding of that. I definitely get that, for sure.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, sir. So any discussion from the alders on this particular ordinance before I go to the members of the audience? Or resolution, sorry. Any discussion on this resolution? Okay. So all those in favor of the amendment to change the date from February 2026 to November of 2025, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. The ayes have it on the amendment. We will not vote on the ordinance until we get to talk.
Point of clarification.
Resolution, sorry.
The amendment that you just asked for referenced the date, but we also discussed the word prioritize. Did you want to include?
Oh, that? Alderman, how do you feel about that?
Fine.
Include the word prioritize, that OPED can
Yeah, absolutely. That's
look
fine.
at their workload and decide if there's demand for something that they can make this
Absolutely.
second or third on the list?
Absolutely.
Okay. So do you want to take prioritize out, or do you want to amend the wording, or how would you like to handle that, Alderman? I want to work with you, so.
Within our discretion or something like that.
What's your recommendation, sir?
If we strike to prioritize, if we take that out, we could say, the city directs the Office of Planning and Economic Development and other relevant departments to support and implement, so it would be, instead of prioritize, support and implementation, it would be to support and implement this initiative in coordination with community stakeholders.
Is that okay, sir?
It's good with you, I'm good.
Okay.
Y'all good?
All right, so that would be, are you guys okay with it as sponsors? Alderman Williams and Alderwoman Purchase? Okay.
But we can make that amendment number 2, since amendment number
Or
1.
one was voted
regarding
on with the
dates was
dates?
voted on and
Okay.
passed.
So amendment number 2, we'll just strike the word prioritize. It's still an initiative for the Office of Economic Development.
So move.
Second.
All those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. The ordinance is amended. We did have a couple community members signed up to speak on this particular resolution. I apologize to you all that I keep saying ordinance. So I'm going to call them up. Please remember that we have 5 minutes, and if you choose to not speak at this time, we can still call you up at the end of the meeting. The first person who signed up to speak on this would be Sarah Paulicki, and I apologize if I'm pronouncing your name wrong. Okay, thank you very much. And then the next person who signed up to speak in advance would be Kaylee Freeman. Ms. Freeman, are you here? Would you like to speak?
In 1908, Springfield had a truly horrific race massacre, which was hidden from our history for decades. The East Side since has been cast aside, which has impacted not just the historic structures, but the people who reside across the tracks. This city will put a sign in front of where Lincoln had repairs to his carriage, but will neglect to remember those who fought for Reconstruction after his passing. In this city, prior to the violent massacre, we were a destination for education for Black Americans. At 902 South 12th Street stands the building where the Ambidextrous Institute for African American Children was. This school was modeled on the Booker T. Washington Tuskegee Institute. It educated hundreds of children from all over this country, with 80% of the students from outside of Springfield. It was known by many as the Tuskegee of the North. This school closed closed shortly after the race massacre because who would want to send their kids to be educated in a city that lynches innocent black people? But beyond just the building, Springfield was a hotspot for political activism for the advancement of African Americans. Did you know that two of the most important men during Reconstruction are buried at Oak Ridge? And were active in supporting and educating the people at 902 South 12th? Probably not, because even the cemetery marker neglects to mention these two civil rights pioneers. But it does mention the bootmaker and the guy that gave Lincoln a ride once. 1906 to 1908, Reverend Dr. James H. Maggi was the head of the school at 902. This gentleman was a political powerhouse, and some documents call him the most important black leader outside of Chicago at the time. He worked to desegregate Alton schools, lobbied for stronger anti-lynching laws, and requested pensions for slaves. He spoke openly about how the Republican Party continued to segregate their black politicians. He also organized a celebration for black citizens in 1909 because white citizens did not allow them to attend the same celebration with them of Abraham Lincoln. So let's quit celebrating Lincoln every minute of every day. The second civil rights pioneer associated with Springfield and buried here is J.J. Bird, the first trustee of the U of I that was black. He was a trustee there before they even allowed black students. And a fellow politician that worked on the same goals as Reverend Dr. Maggi. We must restore 902 South 12th, not just to provide knowledge about this time period, but to honor the men that worked there and who were instrumental in the advancement of black Americans. How cool would it be to offer STEM education, after school programs in a green space in that historic place? That's actually apparently been the plan since 2014. But we got to pour our money out west for God knows what. How it would also increase tourism to the city. This location is already marked online as a historical marker. Sorry. Cannabis and TIF money should be funding preserving our history, not just marking where Lincoln drank coffee or used the bathroom. Please preserve history and infrastructure on the east side. It is insulting to our intelligence to do otherwise, because the corruption from some in this horseshoe is blatant and disgusting and high-key racist. Let's not forget y'all rewarded 2 millionaires, the Brants and Mr. Curtis, for stealing from workers while forgetting those who worked to bring meaningful change to Springfield.
The next person who signed up to speak in advance, Ken Pasha. Mr. Pasha, you had a reference this ordinance. Do you want to speak?
No, I'll wait till the general.
Okay. And then we also have History Across the Tracks comment and Zachary Long. Do you want to speak, Mr. Long? Okay. And I think that is it that signed up. Is that right, Clerk? Do you have any others?
Douglas Holt. Douglas Holt, did you want to speak to this ordinance?
Oh, yes, History Across the Tracks. Thank you, Joanna. Sorry, Mr. Holt. Did you want to speak to this ordinance?
If you want to speak now about that, you can, or you can wait till the end. Wait till the end? He's going to wait till the end, Mayor.
Okay. Thank you, Mr.
Thank you,
Holt.
sir.
So that's it. Any further discussion from the,
Mr. Clerk,
Did Ken pay?
What?
It's not in the email.
He's not signed up.
Okay, he said he did.
He's not signed up.
okay, any other discussion from the alders on the resolution itself? Okay, seeing none, the voting will now be open. All those in favor of the resolution as amended will vote yes. All those opposed will vote no. And the motion passes with 10 voting yes, none voting no. From the council members in the chambers, is there any unfinished business to bring before the city council? Alderman Gregory.
real quickly, Mayor, I just want to acknowledge the Massey family in the crowd. I know Sunday, we as a city are planning to dedicate the bridge. The signs have been up for some time, and there's been some other plans. but, you know, God has perfect timing. This will be the anniversary of, you know, our dear sister taken from this community, you know, some fantastic things planned. We've had a good conversation on updates with that. I do compliment Zone Manager Doss for really diving in and working with the family, meeting at the bridge, getting it cleaned up, getting the lights working. He's done a fantastic job of really helping us coordinate that. So I just wanted to say that, and I appreciate you. Thank you.
Alderman, do you mind sharing with everyone that might be listening when that dedication is, if they want to attend?
It's Sunday, July 6th at 3:30. Am I correct, gentlemen? Yeah. Sunday, July 6th at 3:30. We do plan on meeting on the north side of the bridge. There are selected artists all been vetted as far as the murals that they'll be painting and sectioned off. They worked fabulous with our zone manager to really make this a seamless process.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other unfinished business to come before the council? Seeing none, we'll move on to new business. Is there any new business to come before the council?
Nope.
Nope.
Seeing none? Okay, we will move on to citizens who have signed up in advance to address the council. The first person who signed up is Alice Ramey. Ms. Ramey, are you here? There you are. Do you want to speak? It's your turn. Yes, Alice Ramey.
Wake up.
It's been a long time since I've been up here.
Yes, ma'am.
And I have few things to say. And one is that I'm tired of out-of-state landlords letting their houses go down to the deal and charging $12.50 a month for them. I have run across 3 of them since I called because they live in our neighborhood as Ward 3. The other one is Republic Garbage. You know, I don't mind paying for garbage, but I don't have to pick it up. And he tore up my bucket because he was in a hurry. And now they want me to charge me $34 for them to bring me one, and $34 for me to take it, for them to take it back, which is ridiculous. If they're not going to do their job, leave and put it back to Lake Town, because they did a heck of a lot better job than Republic. And as for landlords, I understand that Tricia here was supposed to talk to the realtors about finding out who is the out-of-town landlords. Well, I got 5 of them, and it didn't take me long to find them. And I did this when we had the Springfield project, and I know how to get what I want, but it's the idea, if somebody on the city council says that they're going to talk to them to find out if we could get the list and help out, then it should be done. If you're not going to do it, don't be on the council. I'm sorry, but that's the way I feel, because you guys are not really listening. You're just lipping. And one person on the council, I have to admit, you did a very beautiful job for the video. Very beautiful. Okay? You did a good job, too, by sitting there. Okay? But besides that, we need people that are going to get out and do the job that they've been elected for. If not, then say goodbye to the city council. Simple fact.
Thank you. The next person, oh, I'm sorry, Alderwoman Purchase. I apologize that I didn't see that you had signed up. My apologies, Alderwoman.
You're okay. So I want to do clarification. I want to make sure Ms. Rainey can see me. I want to do clarification for you.
Right over here.
I never mentioned that I was going to the realtors to get a list. What I did mention was I was going to them to ask, could we do some education sessions? So I want to be real clear so you understand. I'm not for sure where you got that from, but like you said, it's easy to go look them up in the system, so I didn't need to ask the Realtors Association to look up landlords for us. But what I did ask them to do was if we could come together and do some education about how to look them up. It's not for you to respond to me. It was just for me to do clarification back. It was just for me to do clarification back. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Alderwoman. The next person signed up to speak is Douglas Holt. Mr. Holt?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Council. Give me my 5 minutes. What I want to talk about is simply, since I'm confused on this history across the tracks. And my first question was, which side of the tracks are we referring to? And I'm saying that because obviously we know the east side is one side, but the original side was just right on the other side, on the west, near the west side. And what I'm saying is, we don't want to forget about the history that was before we became, or what we know as the east side. There were black people, African Americans, whatever we want to go by, that were within the areas from 11th Street all the way down past Jefferson, Enos Park. So if we're going to talk about history and development of what we know as in being our history, we need the entirety of the history, not just after the fact. And we're referring to after the fact as being 1908. I'm not from here, but the history that I learned about Springfield came mostly from the old people that grew up here. And from what they told me, that stuff's not in the history books. And that's what I don't want to get lost in the town that I call my hometown, having grown up here. But, I mean, I sit back on having lived on the east side at one time. They took our Hardee's, they took our Popeyes, they took our skate rings. I mean, you can go on and on and on about all the businesses that used to be on what we know as the east side that moved to the west side, but now we're complaining about giving them money that was lost from businesses that left the east side. Talking Barney's, as I said, skate ring, Hardee's, Popeyes. I mean, when we made a fit about Popeyes leaving that area, which was now on Wabash, then they turned around and moved it back and put it on the outside of South Grand for where we know it is to be now on that side of town. I don't want the loss of history, period. I'm a history buff, not just local, national. I'm talking international. I grew up from having an international perspective, meaning that we included everybody. We didn't exclude anybody. That was not something that we did when we were growing up. When I grew up, when growing up in my mother's house, we were colorblind. We didn't know anything about racism or any of that until, believe it or not, coming to Springfield. Now, that's a sad reality, but when I usually just call it corruption. I mean, you can call it a name, but when you get to saying stuff like nepotism, racism, sexism, that hits somebody real hard. They don't want to talk about it. But when you just label it as what it really is corruption, then that's more or less not as difficult for people to digest. It's easier to understand because, you know, it's just not right. So if we simply just do the right thing in funding areas that money is supposed to go to, the areas that the primarily basis of that funding is for those who are in need. And without that, that would be the only basis for why certain areas of town would get that funding, as we're talking about TIF funding. I mean, my biggest thing here is that tonight that I want to leave you with is simply that I don't want to exclude history, period. So we need to go back to 1840, come to 1865, and from 1865 to 1908, and then beyond that to find out what was missing about, because the businesses that are in that area or historical area of what used to be the black side of town need to be giving funding to the people who are on the east side of town to help them out, because they literally took all their land. That's my perspective of what's going on as far as within the city of Springfield. I thank you for my time.
Thank you, sir. The next person would be James Johnson. Mr. Johnson?
Good evening. I'm gonna start with Baskin Robbins. Mayor and Corporate Council. Now, TV 20 said this, and you know we believe TV 20. So
The building is tore down partially as of this morning, and the vehicle is removed. But my question is, how is that building open for so long with violations of codes? Now, that's from TV 20. It's dated back into the 50s. And my question to you, Corporate Counsel, is, did they get fined all this time for being under violation of codes? Because I know when I tear down a house, and if I leave it on the ground too long, I get fined. So I just want to throw that out there because I'm sure I'm not the only one wondering about these violations, but still being able to be open. And so I'm going to leave that right there. And some of y'all can check into it. Now let's move on to the police department and different things. And it is the anniversary of Sonia Massey. And what really bothers me is what's happening and did happen in Minnesota, and it's not really talked about. Now, I'm going to give some history about Springfield with this police department because I don't want any of the females and citizens in this town to think nor forget what happened to her, but also what had happened in the past. And for some of you new members around here, let me educate you for the next 3 minutes. We have a police department that got rid of an officer who put a manifesto together. We got a police department that, well, not the police department, but we had somebody perpetrating to be a police officer in our past and was pulling people over. And what happened in Minnesota makes me real nervous about, well, one, how I'll answer my door late at night if somebody's ringing. So this is something that I think our mayor and this council and the police department need to think about because we have so many unmarked cars. And if you know what happened in Minnesota, the guy had a look-alike car. But when I came up here and complained about tinted windows and unmarked cars, nobody said a word. So in the future, or if it ever happens, or when it happens, the department needs to have a rule about approaching houses after dark with unmarked cars and going to people's doors. Because me personally, I'm not answering my door if I don't recognize that car. And if it's an unmarked car, I'm not stopping. Now, the Massey, God bless her heart, she made a phone call and she had a prowler. And to this day, we still don't know who that prowler is. I have my opinions and my thoughts, but I don't want our community to forget what had happened in the past and what's still happening. Because a few months ago, I came up here and read off a list of unsolved murders. A whole list of them for this community. Too many. But we have no idea who did it. So as we move forward through this 4th of July weekend, I want everybody to remember to be safe and watch yourself. Watch others. Keep your eye out for our politicians and our neighbors. And with my last time, I'm going to say with the 4th of July coming, I just want everybody who's out here, because we going to have the best fireworks show, and the alderman over there in Ward 3 can tell y'all about it, but the best fireworks show is going to go off in our neighborhood. But what I'm going to ask is we be considerate of the senior citizens and the vets, and let's stop dropping these bombs and letting off all these bombs to, and let's just enjoy the fireworks show. And
Thank you, sir. Next, we have Aaron Cahill. Mr. Cahill, are you here? Aaron Cahill. Okay. Brianna Eilers. Brianna Eilers.
First things first, let's start off with shout out to Helping Hands for giving me a cold place to sleep last night. As for the TIF goes, Aaron, I'm not supposed to, sorry.
Yeah, you have to address your comments to me.
Yes,
Sorry, ma'am.
Misty, I had been working with Aaron at one point trying to get my roof fixed because, as we all know, my house is crumbling around me. Or the house, I guess. And whenever I was trying to get use the TIF funds in order to fix my house, there is that match where I think it was 10 grand that I needed to come up with myself because my roof is so bad that you got to scalp the whole house at this point. Because of that, my roof is still not fixed. And it won't be because, like Sean said, we're all poor. We're dirt poor at this point. Like, we can't match. Even whenever Aaron was working with Bank of Springfield, trying to make it to where it would be easier to get a low-interest loan in order to cover the match. And I am poor. My credit sucks. Like, it's not gonna happen. So I appreciate the fact that all those barriers are being taken away because that is the way forward. That is how we move forward. We get the barriers gone, we fix what we need to fix, and then we can start putting barriers back in place. But we are so far gone right now. The moment you put a barrier there is the moment that you're not doing anything. As for the history across the tracks, have you visited the 1908 race riot memorial? Anybody? It's literally a fence. A fence with barely a sign on it. Like, I was disgusted. I went and they've got like a QR code. I encourage everybody to go there. Whenever you find the time, scan that QR code and make sure that you tell them your mind because it's literally a fence with barely a sign. That's not telling history. That is covering up history. And I will leave it at that. Thanks.
Ms. Eilers. The director of OPED is over to your right. If you would go over there, she can get your information about the roof and follow up with you.
It's not my roof no more anyway.
Okay.
Mayor?
Alderwoman Conley, sorry, I didn't see that.
Thank
My
you.
apologies.
And I just, thank you, Mayor. I just, again, as Alderwoman Purchase, just kind of clarify, because Ward 8 does not have any TIFs. And that program that Ms. Eilers talked about is something that I started for areas in the city that don't have that sort of support. And I will say, thanks to, Alderman Gregory kind of leading the way with some of the changes we've proposed to TIPS, I am working with OPED to make some changes to that. It's called the citywide program for low-income homeowners to, again, lower that threshold for what the cost match is and yes, try to find ways for alternate financing for people outside of TIF zones because the TIFs don't cover the entire city. So hopefully we can get that. It was a new program, and so kind of learning along the way, but we are working on that and making changes, and I do anticipate an ordinance for that coming soon. So thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Alderwoman. Next, we have Diana Elshreff. Is Diana here? Diana Elshreff, last call. Okay. Sarah Policki. Sarah Policki. Am I saying your name right?
Yes, it's Policki. Thank you.
Okay, well, I don't, thank you.
Oh, no worries. Good evening, Springfield City Council. My name is Sarah Policki. I'm a public historian and preservationist. And until recently, I worked with the National Park Service's National Historic Landmarks Program as a women's history researcher. However, my postdoctoral program was deemed quote-unquote DEI and terminated in March of this year. As such, I'm acutely aware of how historic sites, like those History Across the Tracks seeks to preserve, are under threat. This project comes as at a challenging but hopeful moment in the broader field of preservation. The commemoration of America 250, recognizing 250 years since the signing of the Declaration of Independence, promises to be underwhelming in terms of its historical veracity. Federal commemorative events will likely provide little to no nuanced insight into Black histories across the U.S. Springfield, on the other hand, has the opportunity to take a different path, telling the truth while meaningfully investing in community history telling. Based on my experience with the National Historic Landmarks Program, I want to state clearly that the buildings identified by History Across the Tracks are equally or more significant than many currently designated NHLs. In 1976, the National Park Service commissioned a group of scholars and preservationists called the Afro-American Bicentennial Corporation to address the systemic erasure of Black history sites from the National Park Service. In their subsequent report, Beyond the Fireworks of '76, the commission commented, quote, "Inspection too frequently ends in disappointment for the researcher, who discovers that the building he has so painstakingly sought has given way to a parking lot or an apartment building," end quote. Now it is almost 50 years later, and the buildings identified by History Across the Tracks are still standing. That is a cause for celebration, and more than that, it is a cause for investment. So many of my colleagues in historic preservation have been impacted by DOGE cuts as part of campaigns against so-called waste. However, the true waste would be not investing actively in the preservation of these irreplaceable historic sites. Many historic buildings face what preservationists call demolition by neglect, which is simply crumbling away without intervention. Demolition by neglect is a consequence of how those with the power to preserve and cultivate value or devalue individuals' and communities' histories. Those decisions clearly correlate with how much those in power in the present moment value current people's lives. When I moved to Springfield, I was delighted to know that the city clearly values history. After all, a person can barely turn around downtown without spotting a plaque about Abraham Lincoln. But what does it say about this city that cultural heritage sites are so clearly inequitably supported and inequitably promoted? We know the power of historical storytelling, and we know the value of cultural tourism. We know that particularly for young people, being aware of people in the past who were like them, who looked like them, or who overcame a struggle that they're now facing, provides hope and a sense of possibility. And it is difficult to imagine how an abundant future is possible when you can't see people like you making a way for themselves in the past. It is demoralizing to see places that are meaningful to a community crumble for lack of resources and political will. Demolition by neglect is just another way to tell youth that their stories, their lives, don't deserve to take up public space, but they do. If History Across the Tracks is given the funding and the support it deserves, it will be remarkable. The histories being told are significant, the places themselves are unique, and the vision of the team of people who have made this project happen should be celebrated and supported. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Okay. The next person would be John Hughes.
First, I want to apologize to the Massey family because I ain't been able to get over to their house and fix their electrical for them. Because on Wednesday, my daughter killed herself. Y'all want to sit up here and you guys want to talk about shit from 1908. This is 2025. We have a genocide of children going on. And I would like my children in front of you guys to stand up so you get a good look at these children that go to school here. This is my family now. These were my daughter's best friends. Some of them weren't even here to make it. They lost somebody too, not just me. Some of you who are sitting up here know who I am. I've been in your house. Some of you know who my mother is. She stood up against the Madigans. She sat with Senator Baumke. The fact that I go to your office and I look and I see a QR code for teens, for better housing. Why don't I see a QR code at schools linked to the Springfield Police Department so these kids can go and scan it and they can put in any information for bullies, cyberbullying, or anything, go straight to them and have some officer that will sit and look into it without compromising anything. Why can't we have that for our kids? Y'all are worried about the wrong shit. We have a genocide going across this country because kids are using Snapchat to get on there. The day my daughter died, that same group of kids got on there and taunted these children behind me. Told these children to kill themselves just like my daughter. Hannah got smoked, bitch. You want me to read that?
Sir, can you please not
Dusty,
use
I
profanity?
apologize.
It's okay.
But you know what? You should have had
We're live.
Billy come down and speak to me. You should have. 3 children in 3 months have killed themselves in this city. And y'all are concerns is about parks and all this other nonsense. 1908, you've had 7 children commit suicide in this city in the past 18 months. That's not including the children who've been gunned down. That's not including the children who were stabbed and murdered defending bullies. You guys have these guidelines and these standards. You have failed these children. Your school district has failed these children. The aldermen have failed these children. The state has failed these children. I want something done. And I'm not here to sit here and ask and plead with you. I have my own plan. I have what I want done. I want my daughter's picture in every goddamn school across this country so all these kids can scan a QR code with her face knowing that she is going to protect them because y'all won't. The fact that you guys are sitting up here and having this meeting the way you are, knowing the fact that these kids within the past, month, 2 children have committed suicide. The past 3 months, 3 children have committed suicide. This is getting out of hand. And it's becoming a nationwide problem. You think just here in Illinois, 5 children in the past 7 months have committed suicide. Imagine 250 cities in the state of Illinois. You multiply that times 5. That is teenage genocide. That is a problem. Y'all's concerns. The fact that J.B. Pritzker wants to spend $17 million on an infrastructure for housing immigrants. People that don't even have any say-so in this state. But yet this is our future. These are your children. It's going to be your child next. It's going to be somebody in your family. It's going to be somebody in your family that's going to bully somebody to the point where they tell them to kill themselves. It's going to be somebody in your family that's going to turn around and kill themselves. And then what are you going to do? You're going to be like the State Board of Education and finally call me after years of me complaining to them, after all these other parents have complained. And nothing's ever been done. It gets keep pushed under the rug. I'm not here to emphasize with you. I have my own plan. The officer who handled the case with my daughter when I showed up to her crime scene, I went to high school with. For that man to come and tell me that my daughter was gone. The fact that those kids targeted these children and told them to kill themselves too. Y'all are up here worried about the wrong thing. You ain't here to protect them. I will. This is my family now. And I will make sure no matter what I do, that it's going to be done for all these kids. This is done. Y'all need to rethink of everything that you're doing. I appreciate you talking with me. You're a good man. And I hope you help change this system because we need better people like you. Some of you don't even need to be here anymore. The State Board of Education needs to be changed. The schools need to be changed. I want children in handcuffs. I want faculties in handcuffs. I want Salem County sheriffs school with these children who are witnesses to that are black officers. You want to talk about black on black crime? Black officers telling these kids are stupid, telling them they amount to anything, calling them morons and retarded. I went up to Jefferson and I defended children that weren't even mine. argued with Officer Smitty because that man took me out of my abusive home when I was 13. And the fact that he knows who I am and my mother. And I told him, why are you letting these people up here talk to these children this way? And nothing was done. Y'all are worried about the wrong problems. Y'all are taking the money and you want to stick it somewhere, stick it to save these kids, because that's our future. Y'all want to have a retirement? They're the ones that's going to be involved in it. You better come find me. You better find out some way to talk with me, because my next travel is straight to Chicago, and I will beat on Prisker's desk until he freaking answers me. And if he don't, I will go straight to the man that he can't stand, and I will drive myself straight to Washington, D.C. And if you don't think that I know people in the city that got connections to him, you're wrong. Because some of my friends, you have no idea the connections that I have in this town.
Sir, do you mind if I speak real quick?
You had your chance the other day. I don't know what you're doing, but you've had plenty of parents that came to you, and you've done absolutely nothing. I'm ashamed that I voted for you.
I would like to tell you that
I would like you not to say anything more. Come on.
Ken Pasha.
I sure hope you guys listen to that. You know, I had something to say about skin in the game, because when we talk about what our side of town has involved in the game, it's our lives. Why do you think our life expectancy is 20 years shorter, guys? You think it's just we're violent people or some over on the east side? We don't want to live longer? We don't try hard enough? We eat bad food or something? Poverty is deadly. Not having access to resources is deadly. You can put up any chart you want about where the TIF money goes, but I'm pretty sure that 80, 90 years of redlining, $5 million, $8 million a year is not going to do a thing to touch it. And I think it's fascinating that there are people on this council that week after week act like we don't have skin in the game. Skin in the game. What would you do if your 12-year-old got manhandled by a cop at a celebration? Let me ask you that, because we watched it over on the east side, Juneteenth. That's the kind of thing that you guys wouldn't tolerate. And I think that's what's so frustrating is when you talk about skin in the game. What do you know about skin in the game? What do you know about watching your friends die 20 years before the rest of you? What do you know about me? I'll probably die long before I reach your guys' age. What are you, mid-60? I probably won't make it there. The conditions I grew up in, the addictions I gave myself from the lack of access I had and the anger I felt growing up in abject poverty. You want to talk to me about skin in the game? You have no idea what it took for someone like me to escape that level of poverty. And I don't even know how bad it really is. There's people who have it much, much worse than me that'll never get out. And you talk about skin in the game. We need to put some money up. Money up. You don't even know how broke we are. Our families don't have money. I'm the first person in my family to get a master's degree. Most of the friends I have convictions, not degrees. We spent our early years in police handcuffs. I had somebody mock me for my DUI when I was 21. You know what my BA was? 0-0. It's to teach me a lesson, because I'd arrived in Grandview and I already had a reputation from where I lived for the crimes I committed as a youth to try and survive, because that's the kind of skin I had in the game. Nobody was going to privilege me. Nobody gave me access. I didn't grow up knowing that I'd get to go to college. You know what my high school principal told me? You'll be dead or in prison by 25. People like you don't go anywhere, Ken. And you think I'm the first person he said that to? It's just frustrating, because when we talk about what the east side or other areas of town need, and we talk about skin in the game, you think of dollars and I think of lives. I think of all the people I grew up with that have no idea where I made it because they're dead. They're dead. They're in prison. They're out of touch. You can't find them because they don't exist in the same way that you guys get to exist. Because our skin in the game was our lives. We put our lives on the line. So it's just weird to me when we get up here and we talk about this stuff. I want to congratulate everybody on the council that voted yes on those 3 ordinances tonight because that was the right thing to do. And it's frustrating that, you know, when there's a holdout or when we have to do these discussions, it's just, again, I challenge you to just go to that side of town and ask yourself what those differences are and why they are. You can tell yourself a million reasons, but the quite simple fact is there has been intergenerational efforts. And the idea of skin in the game, I'll tell you where we all have skin in the game. It's fixing decades of white supremacy, of institutional and systemic racism, of intentional behavior by people against black human beings nationwide. This isn't like it's unique to Springfield, Illinois. And it's not just black people. It's Native Americans. It's Hispanic people. It's a long list of people because this is a white supremacist nation. And your skin in the game, the part you should play, is helping overcome that. Not continuing the same practices, not asking more of people that already don't have anything to start with. It's just, you know, I want to end on a message of hope because I feel like even beyond this council, things are really bad outside of here. Like, we all saw that Supreme Court decision that landed. And if you don't believe that's a bad, bad, bad thing, I encourage you to go talk to someone who understands the law better than you. Because we should all be deeply worried. But the one thing we can count on is the idea that if people actually come together as a community and make a real concentrated effort, we can make things better. But it takes all.
Thank you. Zachary Long.
Douglas, all right. My whole speech and spiel that I was going.
Can you pull the mic up so everyone can hear, sir?
Can you hear me better? Everything that I was going to talk about kind of changed when Mr. Hughes came up here and said what he said about, you know, his daughter and everything, and my condolences to him and his family. You know, I have my son in the audience tonight. He's 10 years old, so, you know, he deals with certain things too, just like all of us have. You know, most of us have probably have went through some type of bullying or something like that. So, you know, I can empathize and sympathize with that, being a father myself, and wanting to protect my child at all costs. And when you can't, it hurts, especially when it's a situation that man is going through, or like, you know, other families have gone through, not just here, but all over. So, you know, I do think with the ordinances that were, you know, voted on, I applaud everybody that did, you know, do the right thing and put their vote in the right position. But also I think we should be trying to talk about some type of ordinance to deal with what Mr. Hughes was talking about as far as protecting these kids, because I'm 37 and I remember bullies and I remember people that were doing things, and I know it's 10 times worse with all this social media, all of these things that are going on in the world, just all over, people trying to get likes and everything like that, and that really does something to a child's psyche. And I don't think that there's enough, like, I remember when resource officers were at the school and were there to really help you. Now it seems like the officers that are in the schools, some of them are there to help you, but it seems like they really there just to police, instead of being, you know, what happened to all the DARE officers and all of the DARE programs and the you know, just any program that was there to help kids. I remember they had counseling, you know, sessions and, you know, things like a happy hour session for kids that were going through things that if you was in school and somebody was bullying you, can go talk to somebody in a safe space. And it's just, you know, it's crazy. It's crazy to think, you know, that these kids have to go through all of that, not only with, you know, worrying about bullying, worrying about having the latest gear, worrying about, you know what I'm saying, where you might grow up on, depending, you know, what side of town you are, you know, and that all plays a factor. And I just think that there should be more, you know, more effort into talking about that with these kids, because it is, you know, I know some people that their children have committed suicide, and it's sad, you know, because I don't know what I would do if something happened to my child. We ain't even talking. I'm going and I'm getting active because my baby is, you know, everything. But I will still touch on some of the things with the ordinances earlier. You know, I think those are good moves. You know, it's a shame that we have to really make this debate and this push about just $1 or $2 million on the east side when, you know, I'm sure it wasn't that much debate to get Dave's Hot Chicken over on the west side. Just saying, I'm pretty sure all of the development that's on the west side, the biggest dome in the world and all of that crap, I'm pretty sure didn't take that much debate. Like, I'm pretty sure, I think Sean said something one time, Alderman Gregory said something about, you know, people bring their concerns to certain things, but for the most part, if it's about development of the city, whatever ward you're at, he pretty much votes for that. So to see Alderman Carlson not vote for any of those bills really shows a lot about your character, my man. And it's not a good look. So whoever's in your ward, I really hope they get out and vote your ass out.
Sir, please
But
don't use
I'm sorry, my bad.
foul language.
Excuse
Thank
me.
you.
But, you know, also with the, you know, the history across the tracks, you know, I think that's also a good idea just because, you know, we have a lot of, you know, different diverse communities around Springfield that I feel like, you know, could really come together and do good things, you know, whether you're black, white, Mexican, Asian, whatever you are. I think we all let these train tracks really keep us divided and segregated, and we're not that big of a city to not come together in some kind of way where we're dealing with things on everybody's side of town. So I've kind of been in a productive stage over the last, I'll say, year with everything with, you know, Sonia Massey, rest in peace to her and her 1-year anniversary. The history across the tracks is kind of something I've been thinking about doing my own organization called The Culture, so I'm going to push that out to everybody. I think we all need to come together and have some hard discussions, whatever background you're from, put that all at the table, come to the barbershop like, you know what I'm saying, black folks do, and come to the barbecue or something. Just really have meaningful conversations that maybe might change certain older people's minds about certain things. You never know if you don't come to the barbecue, Alderman Carlson, you might really like it. Don't put racials and our stuff over here. We'd be good. I'm just saying, I just think we all really just need to come together because, you know, with the state of the world, with everything that's going on with them children and we need more unity. And I think we should, you know what I'm saying, that would have been a really, really good look for everybody to been against all 3 of those ordinances. So that was my time.
Tom Raymond.
Good evening. My name is Tom Raymond. I'm a resident of Ward 5 and the owner of the Cat's Pajamas Cat Cafe in Ward 2, just a couple blocks away from here. 2 weeks ago, I spoke about how Springfield can be a place where creativity, community, and courage come together to build something truly extraordinary. Tonight, I want to continue that spirit by celebrating some of the wonderful moments we've recently shared downtown, while also highlighting urgent challenges we must address together. First, I want to recognize the incredible success of Paint the Street, hosted by the Springfield Art Association. Seeing hundreds of residents, students, and local artists transform Washington Street into a vibrant canvas remind me why so many of us choose to live and invest downtown. I joined in the fun with my young son, Kieran, even though we're not artistically talented and only had about an hour left in the event. But together we splattered a rough version of my cafe's logo into the street pavement. It wasn't exactly a masterpiece, but it gave us a special bonding moment and even brought in curious new visitors who hadn't known about our shop until they saw our artwork. We're continuing this celebration of creativity at the Cat's Pajamas Cat Cafe, where we'll soon unveil and honor the local artists who designed our new line of merchandise, the sales of which will continue to support our mission to connect the community with adoptable shelter cats. We're incredibly grateful for these artists: Amelia Drews, Diego Romero, Felicia Olin, Kelsey Cunningham, Nick Harlow, Samantha Wetter, and Sydney Morrison for sharing their talents and helping us bring their visions to life. Just last Monday, our city also welcomed Hemmings Motor News Great Race, which brought classic cars and Route 66 enthusiasts right to my cafe's doorstep. While I was inside hosting music bingo, the streets outside were alive with visitors admiring these incredible vintage vehicles as they made their way across the country. It was a lively evening that showcased our community's ability to come together and celebrate shared passions and proudly host national events that honor heritage. Yet even as we celebrate these joyful moments, we can't overlook the ongoing struggles many downtown businesses and property owners face every day. Since I last spoke, Jerk Shop Go closed its doors, which is a heartbreaking loss for a business that brought so much energy and flavor to our community. More recently, I spoke with a downtown building owner who is grappling with a serious infrastructure issue that is too costly for them to repair. Such challenges put immense strain on livelihoods and make it harder to stay invested and committed to our downtown. I share these stories not to focus on individual hardships, but to highlight a larger truth. We urgently need stronger, more accessible programs and structural support to help property owners maintain and improve not only our downtown, but other historical neighborhoods throughout the city, especially in East Springfield. We often hear praise for grant writing skills and revitalization plans, and while I respect the energy and vision behind these efforts, we have yet to see those promises consistently turn into tangible, on-the-ground results for small businesses and broader downtown community. Just today, I learned that the Downtown Springfield Incorporated is launching a new summer event series, Friday Night Live, in less than 2 weeks. While I absolutely support efforts to activate downtown and bring people together, it is concerning that this event appears rushed and was not planned months in advance to maximize its impact. Why wasn't this initiative fully prepared and promoted ahead of the summer season? Has the DSA director faced challenges leading these efforts while commuting daily from Macon County? And why was this event initially designed to highlight only a small section of downtown and select few community supporters instead of including all of downtown businesses equally? We need thoughtful, proactive programming and engaged, transparent leadership. We cannot continue to rely on last-minute scrambling and inconsistent support from those charged with advocating for our community. 2 weeks ago, I called for the creation of a dedicated downtown business liaison within the city government, someone who can help us navigate these overlapping challenges and build stronger connections. That need remains as critical as ever. I appreciate the offers from Alderpersons Gregory and Purchase to meet with me about this idea, and I remain hopeful we'll be able to connect soon. Despite the challenges I shared tonight, I want to end, though, on a note of gratitude and optimism. I sincerely thank our Alderpersons and city leaders for listening and for the support they have already extended. My hope is that my words tonight encourage us not to celebrate our shared successes, but also work together to strengthen the support and infrastructure that will make future celebrations possible and even more vibrant. Let's work together to ensure Springfield is a place of opportunity, resilience, and community pride, not just as a vision, but as something we can all see and feel on our streets, in our buildings, and through the heart of our city. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Zumbi Biano? Is Zumbi Biano here? Last time, Zumbi Biano. Hewitt Douglas. I do see Mr. Douglas in the crowd.
I don't need no microphone adjustment. Good evening.
Good evening, sir.
You know why I'm here. Should know why I'm here. Lincoln Tower is still falling apart, as far as I'm concerned. Management there is not doing a great job. We know something's going on there, corporate counsel, and we know this city knows about it. But they don't tell us that live there anything. Evidently, there's permits, violations, fire department issues, fire protection issues. I come here before talking about the elevator, talking about the safety and need to have relevant and efficient elevators. They're working on the elevators. They gave us a big picture of a new elevator coming. 3 new elevators. They even hired cranes to pull the new elevators up to the roof. I'm very impressed with that. But now there's another major problem going on. Mayor, we need to know why 5 employees, they got 1 manager, 1 leasing agent, 1 cleaning lady, 1 concierge, and 1 maintenance guy. They were all told 2 years ago when this new company, Frontier, came in, that their work schedules would change. The cleaning lady used to come in 6, work till about 3, 4, concierge 5 to 11, maintenance, of course, all day long, manager just during the day. Now all of a sudden they got to do a 24-hour walk around to the building. I'm scared as hell. I'm wondering why the hell they got to walk around 24 hours to protect me while I'm asleep. Don't nobody come in my building between 11 and 5 in the morning, except maybe Sean Gregory if he over that way.
It ain't me.
But again,
It ain't me.
I don't understand it, man. It's a problem to us that live there. We pay the taxes in this city. We pay for the taxes that they pay. I hope they're not behind on their taxes because I'm not behind on my rent. Okay? So I need to know, and I may have to FOIA in information, but it's ridiculous to have folks lie to people as they come in about parking. They're telling people when they come in, don't worry, we'll have parking done in a year. That's the biggest lie of all time. They've been telling me that for 8 years. It crumbled 5 years ago. Evidently, they couldn't go to court and get an extension because the court gave them too damn many chances to extend already. I do apologize. I get loud sometime when I get upset. And if you think that was loud, that ain't nothing. But I hold myself back because that was a volume 3. And I just want y'all to know I love every one of y'all. Brad, you my man. You got to have some opposition. If don't nobody have opposition, then you think everything going okay. It's okay to vote your way. Each one of you. Because I'm begging y'all to talk to the city council. Leaving it on you again. To do something about this building. This is a premier location right next to the state capitol complex. I'm just telling you, something's going on over there that needs to be corrected. Pressure needs to be put on whoever owns this stuff. They raised our rent. I guarantee you, they raised our rent almost 15 to 20%. That's ridiculous. But they hadn't raised it for about 5 years, so I didn't mind, you know. But the thing is, it's very important that Lincoln Tower have some respect. Now, let me move to my next issue. These damn trains. I can't stand it. You lied to me. Not you. They lied when they said, oh, it's going to be built and finished by 2024. Then it's 2025. Now it's 2027. I'm tired of these trains blowing horns all day and all night long. I feel sorry for the east side. Because when you get it, now ain't but 30, 40 trains a day. Guess what's going to happen when 60 to 75 trains a day? Blowing the horn, waking people up, disturbing your dog, shaking your house. It's bad enough. I mean, I believe there's an ordinance in this city that them damn trains supposed to be quiet coming through here. They don't care what you want, Mayor. Evidently, so I hope you get pissed off enough to go to whoever in the railroad and tell them they got to stop all of this horn blowing. Give me that Amtrak bell. Bing, 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 bing. That'd be fine with me. And if you say it's about safety, every one of those crossings now have a gate to keep people from walking across. Have a gate for the car. So I appreciate you giving me time to talk about what I got to talk about. And you know I love the east side. You know, it's y'all been dumped on, yeah, for a while. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Hewitt, we'll follow up with you. Vanessa Knox, I don't see Ms. Knox. Just making sure she's not sitting where I can't see. Vanessa Knox? Okay, I didn't see her. Roy Walton? Roy Walton.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
First of all, I want to start like I did last time with a few definitions. It's called discrimination. The
Sir,
unjust.
could you move the microphone down so everyone can hear? There you go. Thank you, sir.
Discrimination, the unjust or prejudicial treatment of different categories of people, especially on the grounds of ethnicity, age, sex, or disability. Definition 2, to treat a person or particular group of people differently, especially in a worse way from the way in which you treat other people because of their race, gender, or sexuality. Misconduct. Unacceptable or improper behavior, especially by an employee or a professional person. Mismanagement, especially culpable neglect of duties. Behaving in an improper or unprofessional manner. The legal definition of misconduct: wrongful or unlawful behavior. In criminal law, misconduct often refers to official misconduct and sexual misconduct. Employees that behavior is inappropriate for the workplace and negatively impacts the employee's work environment or peers. According to the Illinois Times Opinion, Driving While Black, document 156-27632, black drivers in Springfield are 5 times more likely to be stopped by police. According to an article, a woman with a souped-up Dodge Charger with a black passenger was stopped when asked officers for the RAS, which is your reasonable, articulable suspicion. Officers gave 3 different reasons, which changed every time she discredited one of the reasons for the stop. Once she discredited the issues, she was released without a ticket or a warning for an infraction. This information was released by Illinois Department of Transportation study. It shows black drivers accounted for 46.2% of all traffic stops by Springfield Police Department. According to the U.S. Census Bureau, black people only make up 20.4% of the city's population. How does this make sense? IDOT data consistently shows a traffic stop disparity in each of the last 17 years when compared by race. Officers in question of this treatment: SPDs, street crime units on the east side. I'm confused. How is this? I've been coming and complaining, or not even complaining, but making people aware of what you can do when you're dealing with an officer, or what you can do when leadership doesn't do what they're supposed to do, per se. I've addressed you, Mayor. I've even assisted you with helping people find out what agencies you can turn to. It's something wrong. And it really needs to be looked at. And maybe because I'm just one black man with a criminal history, I'm not being taken serious, but I have a message to you, this board, Chief Bill. I am not going away. I will be here to make sure something gets done about this. I made a complaint with Internal Affairs and still have not been given a proper police report number, because in order to cover up the complaint, they refused to put my letter in front of my complaint number, which should have been an S in front of my complaint number. I've still not been addressed about that issue. I will give credit to Alderman Rockford, Alderman Williams, and Alderman Gregory, because they did take the initiative to say, hey, at some point we will get with you, let's trade information so we can talk later, which those communications I'm sure will take place soon, because like I said, I won't be intimidated. I'm not scared of the retaliatory tactics that y'all use to make people go away. And something needs to be done. Thank you for your time.
Tim Sperry, is Tim Sperry here?
Thank you.
They're all different.
This is to do with housing here in town. I've done several houses in town. I've remodeled and built new, and I do it as an avocation, not as a vocation, but I grew up as a child dragging lumber, so I've done it all my life. I've been over in the Harvard Park area. I've done 2 houses there. And I found it very difficult to deal with the city as far as owner-occupant doing these housing projects. I do know, it does take me longer than normal because I do all the stuff myself, and I can pass all the codes. I've done it for my life. So they say there's a housing problem, a housing shortage in town. From what I'm seeing, there are a lot of vacant houses, a lot of vacant houses. And to let remodelers, builders, developers go in and do their thing, they need to be unencumbered. It's really tough to navigate through all the hoops and stuff to get it set up as to where you can actually go and do something on a property. I understand you have to have permits, you have to have inspections, and I don't have a problem with that at all. I took the house that you're looking at off of the demolition list. It was condemned to be demolished. Well, that house was a brick home, had excellent bones. It just needed some TLC. I went in, I did some restructuring on the house. It had structural problems. And for somebody that knows what they're doing, you can go in there and you can build the structure the way it needs to be. It just is just very difficult to schedule to schedule the inspections and to come in and fill out the paperwork. This house particular, I was called in, I would say at least 20, 25 times to corporate counsel to get it off the demolition list, and they were checking my progress. Of course, one guy can only work so fast. But that house now, you can see the pictures, it's turning out into be a very good property. And I don't know what it'll take for the city to go along and check out some of these vacant properties, but to just let a house sit there is not good on a house. So with any fortitude, any luck, need to go around, write down the addresses of the vacant properties. Some of them have been sitting for 2 years, some have been sitting longer than that, and nothing gets done. You can keep an eye on them, and you see gutters start falling off, hole in the roof, things, it deteriorates and has no reason to do that with a remodeler, developer, construction to go in and redo that house and make it livable. And some of the houses that are, a lot of them are on the east side, and they have good bones. They can be fixed up. We just need to, I don't know if, let back on some of the regulations and let these people go in there and do their thing, and you'll have a lot of nice homes. So I'm here to speak my point, but it shouldn't be so difficult to get it done. I'm sure I'm not the only one that's been here about that. So I don't know what the city has to do to make that a little more feasible for the people that can go in there and do it, to let them do their thing, and there'd be a lot better housing in Springfield. Thank you.
If you'll stay there, I know that one of our alderpersons has signed up to speak, but I wanted to address that Director Fuchs is over in your left-hand column. If you look in the back, there's a man sitting by there you go. Would you stop and speak to him, because he actually manages the inspectors, so that you can tell him what you would like to see changed.
Okay.
But first, if you'll stay put for 1 minute, Alderwoman Notriano signed up to speak, so.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, thank you, Mr. Sperry, for bringing this up, because I actually had it in my mind to bring our vacant property registry up during old business, but that got away from me, so I appreciate you bringing this forward. So actually, in city code, we do have regulations on vacant houses, and we are supposed to have a registry of every vacant property. And so what I wanted to ask is, I brought this up maybe like a year or so ago, and I think we really didn't have a clear answer. Corporation Counsel, do you have any, do you know the part of code that I'm talking about, the vacant registry and the fines? And like, where is that information housed?
Well, I can pull the code for you. I don't have the section off the top of my head.
Okay.
As far as, we have our own demolition list in my office, but if there's a public-facing, I wouldn't know where that is. I know we've looked at it.
So
we've previewed
the
it.
city clerk has a registration of houses for different things, but I don't believe that that is, and I'm sorry, I can't bring up the part of code, but I don't believe that that is it. I fear that perhaps this was something that was passed and never implemented, perhaps.
We can ask all the agencies and follow up with you, Alderwoman, and all the alders, actually.
Sure. Yeah, that'd be great, because I am aware of the vacant houses. They, there's a lot of them in Ward 6 as well. And you're absolutely right. It would be a boon to the neighborhood to have these renovated and get people living in them, because right now, they're sources of concern and major problems. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
If you would, Mr. Sperry, definitely go see Director Fuchs, please.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, sir. Oh, sorry. I apologize, Mr. Sperry. Alderman Williams.
No, I just want to chime in that I've been dealing with this a while. And once, I'll just say it like this, once it's in legal or court system, it kills all the timelines. Now you're on the judge's time. You know what I'm saying? And the judge, all he got to do is stay at another extended or, play that court game. And all this time passes, and it appears to the public like no one cares about the house. No one's trying to do anything. Miss Ramey left really, but she's really interested in a particular house that out-of-town landlord. But once it's in legal, real estate is really tough. You just got to go through all the processes before a city can even get it on the demo list or be able to give it to someone else to do something with. I mean, it's a little more complicated than that, and I just wanted you to understand that a lot of times these vacant homes, I just got one down that was up and vacant for 30 years. That's a long time, in a beautiful subdivision, by the way. So, and they are all over the city. I will say that too, but it's a little more complicated because of our system we have once it gets into the legal process of trying to make that landlord make up their mind on what they're going to do. Are they going to prepare? Are they going to agree to repair? Or are we going to demo it? Or what's going to go on? It's a lot of rights involved, and it really is a slow process. So I just wanted to mention that to the Alderwoman as well. So thank you.
Thank you, Alderman. Alderwoman Purchase.
Thank you, Mayor. And I just wanted to say thank you for the work that you did to that property. Before I even became an elected official, I had went and got my home in East Park. It was 3 days away from being demolished. What I found that was very soothing for me dealing with the inspectors is being proactive, bringing in my steps of what I was going to do to that home since it was inhabitable. And I think sometimes, too, it's just the education when we get people in a group to talk about how that process works. And nobody best can do it but you and myself who then went through it and say what their challenges were. And also, on top of the challenges, what were the good things about it and bring solutions forward to help us out. That's one of the reasons why I chime in a lot when we're talking about the cost and the increase that has happened over time. But I was just gonna say, like, I think the best thing that you can do too as well is look for the ones that's getting ready to be demolished. Enos Park is older homes. I wanted to have those good bones, them 2x4s, 2x8s, and 2x6s that sometimes you can't even find some of them. And it's just a better structure. It needed the TLC. I just loved everything that you said and just wanted to encourage you to continue doing this because this is what we need. Thank you.
Thank you,
Come on
sir.
over to Enos Park.
Well, I'm just
Thank
saying,
you, Mr. Sperry.
there's remodelers all over town. Black guys, white guys, Hispanic guys, I see everybody wanting to be able to go in and do something to a property. But it's just keeps sitting there deteriorating. There's no sense in it.
Thank you. And Director Fuchs, if you'll take some notes to share with us. Thank you, sir. Yeah.
Thank you.
Ronald Ham?
Beautiful work.
Oh, okay. Thank you, sir.
Hey, my name is Ronald Ham. I'm here on behalf of the Land of Lincoln DSA, again, and I am all out of patience. I am here to talk about bad actors, especially bad actors here in the Horseshoe. Speakers have come here time and again trying to convince these bad actors, you know who you are, that actual, real people live on the East Side and that they are intrinsically deserving of aid and support. Due to this method of argument failing almost every time it has been employed, due to these bad actors openly mocking these efforts in and out of the City Council, I will no longer be using it. If people on the Horseshoe, some of you, don't consider folks on the East Side to be human, I will no longer do you the privilege of pretending that you do. In spite of what some people might suggest, the East Side is not just filled with criminals, welfare cheats, and ne'er-do-wells. In fact, there is a reality to the East Side that the aforementioned members of the Horseshoe don't seem to understand. The East Side is the economic engine that allows Springfield to run. It is the people of the East Side who work in the cities and stores stocking and checking out people's groceries. It is people on the East Side who work in our hospitals and other city buildings. People on the West Side may own businesses, but it's people on the East Side that work in those businesses. Bad actors in the Horseshoe treat doing anything for people on the East Side like it is a zero-sum game, but it is not. Helping those people who are doing the work the folks on the West Side don't want to do would uplift the entire city. And not helping them, refusing to helping them, isn't just hurting them. If I may paraphrase the words of Lee Atwater, it is hurting everyone, even if it is hurting the people on the West Side the least. It is a loathsome, malicious way of managing the city. I'm sure that this sounds to some of these people like loud bellyaching. Mayor, I know that there are people on the Horseshoe who openly resent those who come before City Council to air their grievances. Ward 7 Alderman, for example, Brad Carlson, is vocal about his contempt for some people who speak to City Council. He frequently says that he doesn't want to hear problems, he wants to hear solutions. The problem is that I can't propose solutions because Carlson is part of the problem. If Carlson wants me to provide a solution, I would tell him, resign. Take your money and bumble off to the Florida Keys like your friend Bruce Rauner.
Sir, can you address the chairwoman, please? Thank you.
Come again?
The rules state that you should address the chairwoman.
I am addressing you.
Okay.
Mayor, if Carlson is not willing to do that, I suspect he is not, then I would ask Carlson to consider, and I would ask you to consider. What happens when people start protesting at the Sangamon County GOP headquarters over by the fairgrounds? What are you going to do when enough members of this Horseshoe walk out and the city can't hold a quorum? What happens when people on the East Side start organizing strikes? What happens when the economic engine that lets this city run stops running? Because that's where some people's actions are leading this city. As much as bad faith actors in this Horseshoe will bemoan how badly they're treated, on some level they have to know that they're being treated with kid gloves. They have to know they have been treated with kid gloves for generations. Not for years, not for years, not for decades, I repeat, for generations. In 1908, a bunch of uppity, church-going white folks decided they wanted to burn down the East Side in the middle of winter, and the East Side has been treating them with kid gloves ever since. That time is ending. I don't know if you've been paying attention to the happenings in D.C., but the occupants of the world's most expensive crab bucket aren't going to help anyone. That means that the people here are going to have to save themselves. And we will. The mountains are high and the emperor is far away, but you, mayor, aldermen, alder people, unless one or more members of the horseshoe packs up and moves to the Florida Keys, you're all stuck with us. The people these bad actors are so strongly admonishing are going to make the world a better place, not just for them, not just for you, but for all of us. And they can do it with you or without you.
Thank you, sir. Aiden Dolok? Aiden Dolok? Okay, thank you, sir. Robert Frazier.
So, not part of my presentation, but I just had to go here because of what's been said. How many of you all are aware of what a hub zone from the federal government is? I'm fairly sure that most people don't know what it is, but it addresses historically underutilized business zone. That's what it stands for. It is a designation by the Small Business Administration, the SBA, for areas in the United States with high poverty rates, high unemployment, or both. I don't know why it is we feel like we have to recreate the wheel when all of this information is in front of us and it's really done by somebody else who's bigger than us. But the information is there. They have a map. If you go on the website, you punch in the zip code or a street address, and they'll tell you whether you're in that address is within the hub zone. These zones are targeted for economic development through federal contracting. Business locations in hub zones can receive preferential treatment and bidding in federal contracts and more. To me, the whole problem of our poverty is surrounding around economic development. If we don't have jobs and people can't work and there's nowhere to work at, how do you expect them to have money? And this is why they come to the city for it. They come to the city for money because they have nowhere else to get it. To be hub zone approved, you have to be eligible. You have to be approved by the government. The hub zone certified business must be a small business according to the SBA standards and have its principal office located in the hub zone. They make sure tooth and nail that you're poor. Utilize this program. Why do we have to recreate it? I know somebody who is hub zone approved. There ain't but so many minority operated businesses here, and I know one of them that is approved, and there's not any other one that I know of in the area. Economic development, I hear it so loosely put out there a lot. Economic development, what does it actually mean? It's a multifaceted process focused on enhancing economic well-being and quality of life for the community or region. One of the main focuses is wealth creation. You want to know what the problem is for the East Side? Wealth creation. Economic development is fundamentally about creating wealth with a community that can be measured by increased income, job creation, and overall economic activity. So I came here to talk about the non-for-profit CSC program. This is the month of June. I probably have well over, I don't know how many thousands. I haven't had time to go into it yet. Yesterday was the end of the month. But I can tell you, black, brown, white, yellow, everybody's coming and utilizing this program because they need it. And they're utilizing it. And we're getting something done. We have identified a problem. We've created a solution. And we have people that are making sure that they have a quality of life. And that means clean clothes on their back. And we're doing a great job. Thank you to the Fat Ass 5K. They donated some money, and it was really nice. And so we just look for more help. We appreciate you. I thank you for my time. Hopefully I made the message clear. But we have a lot of programs that are already there for us to utilize, Mayor. And if we just tap into them, I think we can make the difference in our community, because all we really need to do is build jobs. And we won't come to the city for any money. We'll be just coming for the good stories about how we've created. And to speak about skin in the game, I work 7 days a week. I probably sleep 4 to 5 hours a day. That's not to brag, but that's the passion. And I know a lot of people in my area, which I'm in the poor side of town, are doing the same thing. We're just trying our best.
Thank you, sir.
Mayor.
Oh, Alderman Williams, sorry.
This hub zone is a federal thing, but is it the individuals applying or the city applies it for it?
No, the businesses apply for it.
The business
The
themselves.
businesses apply for it. So one of the things that we're not there yet as far as the level of certifying our businesses to be hub zone ready, right? But I know somebody who is, so why don't we use what we have? To be an example to others that the money's not leaving the planet. The hub zone is being recognized by the current administration. They're pushing it. They're taking race out of it. Hub zone is strictly for money, economically depressed areas. Has nothing to do with what color you are. Has nothing to do with ethnicity.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.
That's all we have.
Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye. Those opposed, nay. We are adjourned.